Ooh, what is up? I'm gonna need my chat to let me know if the sound is better this time around. Had issues with it last time. Wasn't that loud. Turn it up a little bit, so a little more sensitive. Hopefully you can pick up more of my voice. So let me know, y'all. Hop in chat. Let me know. What's it looking like right now? It's great. It is great. Shout out my main man Brickle, aka the Brickle Show, helping me hook all this stuff up, get it nice and running smooth. Still a lot to do. Still a lot to purchase for this stream, but second episode I can't be too upset. Yeah, Brickle, got a little bit better lighting here today. Took my curtains off, so I have all this natural light coming in, and then my ring light like in my face, so a little bit better. Yeah. Hey, if you're watching right now, before I get it kicked off, hit that sub button, hit the bell, get notifications when I'm live, because as soon as this ball gets rolling in the regular season and even in the preseason, it's gonna be hard to keep up, man. It's gonna take off, and I want y'all to be a part of it. So no, it's straight. There's no sun coming through. It's just like light outside compared to, I have blackout curtains, so that probably contributed to the poor lighting of the first episode. Yeah, so wish I could just put this off to the side. I guess I could do it like that. That works too. If I close it that way. I don't know why it does it like that. Oh well. Alright, well, anyways. Alright, I'm gonna get this kicked off, so appreciate y'all for tuning in. Second episode of Down to the Wire Debates. And we're gonna be talking about the NFL draft still. I gave you my mock draft before. I was horribly off. I went 1 for 10, technically 1 for 9 with the picks. But I was pretty close with the range of where they would go during the draft. My mock draft didn't go as well as planned, but Trevor Lawrence obviously is the big key. We got him. That was obvious. Trayvon Morig, however you want to say his name. Screw him. He's not a Jag. He went to the Raiders. Pat Freiermuth, he went to the Steelers. Samuel Cosmi to Washington. Anthony Schwartz, my boy, went to the Browns. Malcolm Kuntz also went to the Raiders. Jalen Twyman, who was probably my favorite player in this draft, just in terms of potential and just like sheer upside at the defensive line position. He went to the Vikings. Javian Hawkins didn't even get drafted, but he signed with the Falcons after the conclusion of the draft. So undrafted free agent there. Thomas Graham Jr. and Larry Borum both went to the Bears. So interesting enough there. Now, I'm going to get into who we did draft and my grades for each of them. So first off, Trevor Lawrence, man. You wonder why the pick, right? Not only is he just a generational talent, but you look back at 2020, and the Jaguars were ranked 30th in points per game. There's 32 teams. They're ranked 30th in points per game, only averaging 19.1. They were ranked 28th in completion percentage. Granted, it was probably 3 different quarterbacks all season. It was Jake Luton, Gardner Minshew, and Mike Glennon. 62.8%. 28th. So there's only 4 other quarterbacks worse. Then they were ranked 26th in passer rating at 83.9, and we were 26th in turnovers. Not that we had a little bit amount of turnovers. We had the 26th, like the 6th most. So we had 25 turnovers in 2020, 16 picks and 9 fumbles. And during that season, with those 3 quarterbacks I already mentioned, combined 25 touchdowns and 16 interceptions in 16 games. So we're throwing a pick a game. We're turning the ball over at least once, more than once probably, and we're not scoring. So that's why the pick. Besides the obvious that he's a generational talent and stuff, he can limit the turnovers. I think he threw for 90 touchdowns and only 17 interceptions in his 3 years at Clemson. So, that says a lot right there. 17 picks over the course of 3 seasons, which was, I believe, like 38 games, maybe close to 40, because he played in the ACC championship a couple years and then the college football playoff. And so that's just unheard of. It would take 17 games for these guys to reach 17 interceptions, let alone 40, how much damage they could do. So he's a huge step up in any franchise. There's probably a handful of quarterbacks that would start over him that are in the NFL today, or there's probably, even less people in the NFL in terms of general managers and coaches that would want him on the bench. This guy he's just electric, and what he brings to the table is he's that franchise QB. By his size, of course, yes, 6'6", 220, like he's got the long arm. It seems like a long release, but he puts a zip on the ball that, Urban Meyer talked about it in the offseason. He gets close and he wants to hear that zip. So now that he's the Jag, he said, y'all going to get here and y'all going to hear that zip when it leaves his fingers. That's what he listens for. And that's something I personally, not being a coach before or anything, or that close to the game, knew about. Like, oh, you got to hear how it comes off his hands. Urban Meyer's just that fanatic, that driven into, I got to get every last detail. And he's just not a guru, but he's just a freak for it. He's just all in. And so with Trevor being like the best talent we've seen come out of college since Andrew Luck, surefire number one. This is no question. I don't even know. I'm still talking about it, but he has the ability to make all the throws. He has a hell of an arm to make all the deep throws. He can layer the ball and put it over the top of defenders, in front of defenders. The only issue that people have brought up is probably his timing routes. He sits on those, it's predetermined in his mind, and so he just doesn't question the defense, and that's where most of his interceptions came from, or deflections. But that's easy to clean up, and in the NFL you have to clean it up because everyone's bigger, stronger, and faster. You can't just out-throw someone. There's throws in the NFL that you can't make anymore, because defenders are just that good. You go up against the likes of Jalen Ramsey or something, you ain't making all those same throws in college, those back shoulder throws, he's reading those potentially. But a big thing, if you go back to the stats on offense, is just you can tell we weren't able to sustain drives. We weren't scoring points. We weren't completing the ball, low passer rating, and we were turning it over. So it was making it hard on our defense. So Trevor sustains drives. He can make those throws on 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, which were positions we were often put in when we would run on 1st and 2nd down and then just be shut down 3 and out, punt it away. And he's a winner. He hasn't lost a regular season game since high school. And that's crazy to believe because you go back to college, the only games he's lost is the national championship against LSU. Last season, he lost to Ohio State in the college football semifinal. And then before that, he lost, I don't even know. But it's just insane. And yeah, he's coming off of surgery in March, labrum surgery on his non-throwing shoulder, but that's not going to affect him. And he's such a winner and a competitor that he went and did his pro day quicker than anybody. He wanted to get that out of the way. Not like, I need to hurry up and do it. But he still wanted to prove that he is the best in this class. He didn't want to call out of it and be like, you know what, I'm fine. He still felt like he had a lot to prove, even though his resume showed a lot through college, So that was one thing that, popped the light up for me. I was like, this is the guy. He's the real deal. And so I give him one word to describe him, and it's franchise. This is the guy. Shad Khan knows it. Urban Meyer knows it. Trent Baalke knows it. The NFL knows it. This is the guy you build your franchise around. This is the guy you start with. This is the foundation. This is the LeBron James, the one who can do it all, the one that you can just rally behind, who can make those around him better. Literally, the receivers are going to be better this year because of Trevor Lawrence being able to make all those high-end throws that we couldn't last year with the likes of Minshew, Lutton, and Glennon. So the grade for that pick, I mean, it's off the charts, but I'm giving it an A plus 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 plus. Just this saves anyone's draft. You could have the worst picks of all time. You have Trevor Lawrence. You have a chance type thing, you know. And being 1-15, it sucks. Brickle likes to zip on the balls. I mean, we all do, unless you're watching. You know, There's Something About Mary. Anyways, the next pick, and this one was kind of surprising to me. We kept it in Clemson here, and we went with his boy Travis Etienne, running back and teammate at Trevor. So now why the pick here? You know, a lot of people question, oh, James Robinson, he was great last year, undrafted free agent, over 1,000 yards. He was like 5th in the league in rushing, had 10 total touchdowns. He was a great fantasy running back. That's great, and I love James Robinson. That guy's a bowling ball. That guy does not go down on the first hit. You know, he breaks tackles, and he doesn't really make people miss, but he makes people pay. And that's what I like. He's that real bruiser. You know, like I said, the bowling ball, just throw him down the alley. He's going to bounce off people, get you 6 or 7 yards, and pick up those first downs. He was huge for us last year. Granted, we went 1-15, but if we were in a game, it was most likely because of him doing his part and having to make up for the poor quarterback play, which we won't have to deal with anymore, thank God. But regardless of how well James Robinson played, we ranked 28th in total yards per game. That's passing yards included, yes. But we were 32nd in rushing touchdowns, dead last with only 9. So you can say he had 10 total touchdowns. Yeah, but that's all. That's it. Like, he was our offense, and we were 32nd in rushing touchdowns. We also ranked 29th in rushing yards per game, so 4th worst. 94.9 yards per game in 2020. And this is an even more shocking stat, and all the more reason why we should have drafted a running back, and we did, is James Robinson, he accounted for 95% of the team's snaps, or carries, at running back in the 14 games he played. He missed the last 2 games of the season, but in the 14 games he was active, 95% of the snaps. I believe it was 240 out of the 260 or something. Like, it was just an insane number. It's like, how is he carrying the ball this much? You know, like, we're running him into the ground. Running backs don't last long as it is. It's a passing league for one. And they, like I said, they just don't last long. Once they reach about 30, it's downhill. I mean, there's only a few people that are just Iron Men, which is like Frank Gore and Adrian Peterson, that are just defying, you know, father time. But so I love the ETN pick. When we first made it, there's a tweet out that Urban Meyer said, it's going to be James Robinson and Carlos Hyde 1 and 2, and then Etienne will be the third down back. And people are like, whoa, you're drafting a guy at 25 in the first round, a running back nonetheless. That's going to be a third down guy, not even your starter. People question that. But then he came out in a press conference Friday afternoon introducing Travis and Trevor, and he said, this is our guy. You know, he's a playmaker, home run hitter, big playability, that you can line him up all over the field. So he's not just going to be in the backfield. He'll line him out out wide. He'll put him in the slot. He'll get the ball in his hands however he can, because he touches that ball with his pick, and people compare his skill set to like Alvin Kamara. I can see it. He's shifty. He can receive. He has great hands. James Robinson is good. You know, he's great even, but he's not the all-around back. And in this day and age of the NFL, not only do you need to know how to catch and run after the catch, but it's just more than running down the middle, you know, and he's great at what he does. And so he's going to keep that role. I don't think Travis Etienne is going to take the starting role like week 1. They're definitely going to share a lot. You know, it's going to, granted, a starter is technically the person who takes the first snap. It could vary. Urban might want to come up and be like, oh, we're going to put Travis out wide the first play of the game. Did he start at running back? What if James gets more carries that game? It's going to be a 1-2 punch. You look at teams that have been successful with that. You look at the Browns, Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb's kind of like the bruiser, but he can do it all, and Kareem Hunt's the receiver. People question if Etienne's really a receiver, but you look back at his last 2 years at Clemson, the guy had 85 catches for over 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns, and that was on a stacked offense. It wasn't like he was the focal point. He was great, but they had, you know, Amari Rodgers and Cornell Powell, and obviously Trevor spreading the ball around anywhere he can, but that's his favorite target. So it's the big play ability for me that makes this pick just a great pick. You know, at first I was shocked. I'm thinking safety or defensive line here, depending on who was available. And so when we got him, it's just your eyes light up, your brain just goes to this imaginary place like, whoa, how many points can we score now? We couldn't keep up with people. We only scored 19 points a game. I could see that, going up by 10. We could average 29 points per game. Who knows with that kind of firepower. So my one word for Travis Etienne is weapon. He's a weapon. And Urban Meyer attested to it. He wanted Kadarius Toney at 25, but the Giants took him at 20. And I'm assuming this Travis Etienne was the next guy on his big board, and he was there, so they took him. And I guess that's what he prioritized was get Trevor, get him some help. And I don't think there's better help that was available at that pick than Travis Etienne. You could argue offensive line, but in terms of just pure firepower and a weapon, it's Travis Etienne all the way. So I give that grade an A. I don't give it an A+ because you don't draft running backs in the first round usually. We weren't ever mocked to draft a running back in the first round, but it's a high grade because it's argued to be the best running back in the class. You got Najee Harris and Travis Etienne, 1A, 1B based on which abilities you prefer. Najee Harris is the more traditional back and can do it all, but Etienne's the more flash and, like I said, the home run hitter, which is something we missed. James Robinson's longest run of the year was 47 yards, and his second longest was probably 30, if I had to guess. He wasn't hitting those big runs. He was getting 10 or 12 every now and then, but he was just consistent 5 or 6. And that's what made him great. Is it was just consistent. But Travis Etienne, a great compliment. Now, our third pick, which was the first pick of the second round on day 2, was a little questionable. I am not going through these slides. So, anyways, do we have the personnel to keep T-Law protected? We'll get into that soon. We'll get into that really soon, Ricketts. Anyways, first pick of the second round, we got Tyson Campbell chicken strip soup. That's what I call him. Tyson chicken strips and Campbell chunky noodle soup. Anyways, why the pick? I wish I knew why. A cornerback from Georgia who didn't really have any stats to prove. He has good size. He's 6'1", almost 200 pounds. A bigger corner compared to the 5'10" Asante Samuel Jr. and people like that. But we ranked 20. Our defense was horrendous last year. There was holes all over the place. We signed Shaquille Griffin. We signed Rayshon Jenkins at safety. Like the secondary got better before the draft. So you question why prioritize this. And my mind, it just wanders what is going on with CJ Henderson. He didn't play the last 8 games of the year. People saying he has mental struggles. I don't know. I can't confirm. But there's things we don't know yet. In terms of like people in the secondary that influence this pick. So, we ranked 27th in opponents' passing yards per game. We allowed 264 per game. And then their passer rating was 105.6, which was ranked 30th. And then their completion percentage was damn near 70%, which was 31st in the league. So, our pass D was just terrible. And that can be associated to the pass rush. And also just people not being able to cover. CJ Henderson went down, and all we had was Trey Herndon, who people hate. I feel like he's an average corner. He's not terrible. And then Sidney Jones, who actually kind of showed out a little bit. But then we also had Chris Claybrooks, who's literally a return man and like a special teamer, and he's playing corner. It didn't work out. So those numbers are definitely inflated because of those those subs right there. But what this guy brings to the table, and I think Urban likes it too, is he has a dog mentality. You watch his tape, he's very fiery. He's intense when he covers people, makes a play. He's just really hyped up and amped up, and I enjoy watching that kind of swagger. Back in 2017, our defense was best in the league, arguably. Bouye and Ramsey, Gibson and Church in that secondary, they had swagger, man. They forced a turnover. They're all taking pictures with each other. They're just hyped up. They all know how good they are, and it's good. But they weren't cocky. They went out there and balled every single day. And this guy, Tyson Campbell, has the ability to play tough like that. If molded properly, I feel like he can cover, well, in the scouting report, it says he could cover any wide receiver. He's built that way. He's got great athletic ability, but he's going to be a good competition for CJ if CJ is healthy or not, or even with Sidney Jones. I feel like it's going to be between Tyson Campbell and CJ Henderson for who plays outside. And then it's going to be a little fight for nickel between Campbell or CJ and then Sidney Jones. And that's not a bad defensive backfield. We'll get into the safety pick here soon, but yeah, at pick 33, the first pick of the second round, Tyson Campbell from Georgia. One word for him is potential. I mean, it was not a fan favorite for me, and I give this grade for this pick a B, only because there was so much more available at this pick. Trayvon Morig, the number one safety in the class, arguably was still available. Pat Fryermuth was still available. There was just other ways you could have gone here. This guy, if he had something to show for his size and athletic ability, he probably is a first rounder. Mel Kiper saying he's a first rounder if he just has the numbers, but he doesn't. So it was a little questionable, but watching the tape and knowing how Urban Meyer is with recruiting and how he can scout talent, I feel like this is a good pick. I can't fault him for it, but I don't give him a great grade. I just give him a B. Now with the next pick, this is where we, assessed some help for Trevor. Granted, we franchise tagged Cam Robinson, and we still have Jawan Taylor, but Walker Little from Stanford, big frame. I mean, this guy, 6'7", 317. This guy's huge. He ain't little by any means. Little ain't little. But last year we ranked 25th in sacks allowed. We allowed 44 sacks in 2020. And that's why we made this pick. I feel like, Urban wanted a guy that can protect his asset. With the phone call when they drafted him, Shad Khan said, "We trust you to protect Trevor, keep him upright." So this is who they're putting their faith in, especially after this year when we most likely won't re-sign Cam Robinson. So yeah, after this year, he's taking over Cam's spot, I believe, if not sooner during the year, if Cam struggles. And he can play either side, but he's a great run blocker. And if he doesn't play, he's still great depth in case of injuries and stuff. And for me, it's a peace of mind pick. Everyone's like, you gotta protect Trevor, gotta protect Trevor, because you look at Joe Burrow, how he got hurt last year because they didn't have any O-line help, and that's your asset, number one overall pick, and he hurts his knee. You got to keep your quarterback upright if you want him to take your team to the next level. So one word for him is wall. He's just a wall. You look at the guy. I mean, look at the picture. He's just a wall. He's a beast of a human. 6'7", 317. That's just insane. But being that long, he has to be quick. So he'll probably have to improve on that in training camp and throughout the season. He did injure his knee in 2019, and that's a very iffy spot for me because he hadn't played since then. He opted out of the 2020 season just to get ready for the draft, but he didn't show anything else. But granted, prior to being injured, he was one of the top tackles in the nation. So this honestly could end up being like a new generation Tony Biselli at left tackle, and we got a steal for him at the 45th pick. It wasn't a name I was eyeing at tackle. I was thinking Samuel Cosmier, Dylan Radden's from North Dakota State, but nonetheless, I give this grade an A because you got to protect your asset. You got to have that around him in case of failure at the O-line. So, yeah, this dude is a mountain, man. Yeah, he had 700. I think he had 700 snaps and allowed 700 snaps and allowed 4 sacks. It was 695 snaps, 4 sacks. There's probably 60 to 70 offensive snaps in a game. So that's 10 games he allowed 4 sacks. I don't know, but that's just unreal. Well, at least that's passing snaps. It's not counting run blocking. So that's a lot of snaps. That's, say you throw for 30 times a game, that's 20 games, he only allowed 4 sacks. So that's 1 sack every 5 games. I'll take that. At the rate that Cam Robinson and Jawan Taylor are allowing pressures on our quarterbacks, I'll take that all day. Next, we got Andre Cisco. Now, this is, at first it confused me because I didn't know a whole lot about this guy, but doing my research before today and as soon as we made the pick, this might be my favorite player of this draft. I go back to talking about swagger with Tyson Campbell. This guy has swagger. There's Tyson Campbell, and then you look at Andre Cisco's tape, and he is up there, man. Last year, our safeties got burned all year. Andrew Wingard. Jared Wilson's good. He can force turnovers here and there, but he's not the premier, free safety we want. And so that's why we picked this guy. Also because we ranked 28th in takeaways, only 17 combined interceptions and fumbles in 2020. We had a -8 turnover differential, and we ranked 22nd in 20-plus yard plays allowed. In terms of pass plays, we allowed 52 passes of over 20 yards to be completed. Granted, 22nd isn't, I don't want to be like, oh, it's not terrible, but it's bottom 10. You're bottom 10 in the league of that. You can't win if you're allowing the big plays, and then if you go back to the offensive side, you're not making the big plays. Trevor's going to make those big plays for us now. Our offense is going to take a step forward. What can the defense do? The defense can limit, the field we have to play on. Our defense always had to line up against offenses when they had a short field because we were turning the ball over and not getting it back. Now, can we force turnovers? Andre Cisco is a ball hawk, and that's what he brings to the table. He's a high intensity guy. You watch his tape. I'm telling you, man, he plays fast. He plays fast and fearless, and that's exactly what Urban Meyer wants. So I definitely understand this pick. He has great closing speed. There's some plays I watched where he just comes out of nowhere, comes out of the frame, bam, and just nails the guy. Either forces a fumble, forces incompletion, or even picks it off. So he has great ball skills. He's forced, if I go back, in his 24 games, he has 136 tackles, 14 passes defense with 13 picks and 2 forced fumbles. Now, in comparison to Morig, who had 33 games, so 9 more games, he only had 124 tackles. Granted, he had 7 more passes defense, but he only had 7 picks and 2 fumbles. So this guy, out of the 4 safeties, Morig, Richie Grant, and Javon Holland, Cisco had the most turnovers forced in his time, and he played the least amount of games. He played 3 less than Javon Holland, 22 less than Richie Grant, and Richie Grant only had 10 picks and 17 passes defensed. So when I look more at it, he was injured in September and didn't play the rest of this, basically the whole year. So he's had this whole time to recover, these last, quick maths, 7 or almost 8 months now to recover. If he's ready by training camp, he will take Jared Wilson's job in a heartbeat. And he's a gambler, but I don't know I just love that about him. He's a hard hitter also. You watch his plays, he's either picking the ball off or he's hitting somebody, letting them be known, hyping up the team, the crowd, whatever. He's just that high energy guy. And so the one word I give this guy is tone. He's going to go out there, he's going to set the tone. I highly advise you to watch his tape. He's just physical and he's fast. And what more does Urban Meyer want? That's what he preaches. He wants to be the fastest and he wants to be the strongest team out there. So I give this pick a A- only because I felt like originally we missed on the higher end safeties that are probably a safer pick, that aren't coming off injuries, that aren't opted out of the season and such. But if this guy was healthy and played all through 2020, he's a first round pick. He's probably going first in the draft. He's probably going to he would have ended up with close to 18 interceptions if he played the rest, the last 10 games of the year. So high upside with this guy, sets the tone. Love Andre Cisco, safety from Syracuse. Got him at 65. Incredible value for what he can do. Now the next pick is one that was much awaited, a defensive tackle from USC, Jay Tufele. I believe I'm saying his name right. Now why the pick here? I just love ringing out these stats for y'all. Last year we ranked, the safety was a solid pick, Ricketts. I gotta admit that. But why the pick for Jay Tufele? We ranked 26 in rushing yards per attempt allowed, 4.7. Teams are rushing on us 4.7 yards every attempt. We ranked 29th in rushing touchdowns allowed. We allowed 23 rushing touchdowns. Ranked 30th in yards per game allowed, so rushing yards, 153. And this guy's a force in the middle. He's 6'3", 305, so he's tall for a defensive tackle in comparison to my favorite Jalen Twyman, who's 6'1", and he's more of just a ball of muscle like Aaron Donald. This guy's tall and he has surprising closing speed and can really move for a player his size. And they mentioned he has a high motor. You watch his tape, he has a high motor. He doesn't give up on plays. He doesn't just, oh dang, they're throwing a screen pass. He's gonna go chase it down. He's a high energy guy, and Urban Meyer recruited him out of high school to come to Ohio State. He missed that, and he ended up choosing USC. but now they're reunited. So Urban knew about this guy, and part of me likes that, but part of me doesn't, because you can't recruit in the NFL like you're recruiting into college. How I see it is, in high school, you're athletic. People see the potential. They offer you. They want you to win them games. They put you at a position where they think you can help them win games. NFL, it's a job, man. You're getting paid. You go to work and perfect your craft. So you can't treat them like, oh, you're coming in. Oh, here's your position. So I hope that changes for this guy, and he takes a step forward, too, in his game, because he has great range and can definitely disrupt the backfield and interrupt the opponent's run game. He had 16 tackles for loss in 24 games played. That's the type of shit we need right there. Pardon my French, but he has the potential to develop into an interior pass rusher, and the more depth we add at the defensive line, the better we're going to get out of people, because we signed Roy Robertson Harris, and now we have him. Like, they're gonna battle for that position and playing time, and we might just have a great group of guys to where we just rotate people, and everyone's just fresh, and Urban's just like, get the fast guy in there. Whoever's freshest, get in there, and everyone's on the same page. So I like this pick. Unfortunately, he also opted out for the 2020 season, so we don't have recent tape on him. Who knows how much better or worse he would have done this season to prove his draft stock. But one word for him is presence. He's a presence inside. You can't miss him. He's tall. He's large. Like, he's going to make his presence known, especially in a 3-4. He can definitely do that. So I give this pick a B+, partially because I'm just kind of tired of hearing the opted out part. We have Walker Little that opted out. We have Andre Cisco, who didn't play because he was hurt, and then him, who's opted out. So basically 3 straight guys from the second round, third round, and fourth round that just really haven't played a snap in, a season or 2. So I still like this pick, though, and he was definitely graded higher going into the draft. So we got him at a decent spot. 106. It was a great value there. I was almost worried because we passed on Christian Barmore early on at 33. So I like this pick, and I don't feel like we're reaching too much with him. So now this is where we get into the no names, really. But round 4. Oh, did I do that right? Yeah, round 4, pick 121. This is the one we traded up for. We traded the 130th pick and the 249th pick to the LA Rams to move up from 130 to 121. So we moved up 9 spots here in the 4th round to pick this guy, Jordan Smith. Man, I can't keep up, man. I'm not showing y'all. That's two-filet right there. Jordan Smith from UAB. He's first player from University of Alabama, Birmingham, drafted since 2015. So pretty exciting for him. Congrats to him. But we ranked 31st in the NFL last year in sacks with only 18 in a 16-game season. So we're lucky to get 1 a game. When Dewan Smoot is your team leader in sacks with 5.5 on the season, yeah, that might be a place of need, when you head into the draft. But he's rangy as well. 6'6", 255. This guy's tall. You look at him, he's just long. Like, he's fast and he has long arms, so he can get distance on tackles when he rushes. And he's just a slippery and elusive pass rusher. His technique isn't that great. He really relies on his athletic ability, but that's something that can be developed at the next level, no doubt. So I see him. He's going to be put at outside linebacker for sure. He's not going to be a hand in the dirt kind of guy. So with, you already assume Miles Jack, Joe Schobert on the inside, at the inside linebacker positions, and then Josh Allen and Kayvon Chason on the outside. That's probably going to be the starting 4 in terms of the linebacking position, but he can be the rotational guy if Kayvon doesn't take that step forward that all of us Jaguar fans are just praying for after his lackluster rookie year. So yeah, because we just need that. Opposite of Josh Allen, we need that pass rush. We need someone on the other side to make a threat. Josh Allen thrived because we had Calais Campbell. You can't double team both because then someone's coming up the middle. It don't matter who it is. I'm running up the middle if you put 4 guys on 2 guys, you know what I mean? So he brings to the table, just like I said, he's a good tackler too. So it's a good depth for us to have, because in recent past, we lose a pass rusher, or we're in shambles. We lose a linebacker, we're in shambles. So one word for him is upside. He has big upside. No pun intended, because he already is big, but 6'6", 255, and if he can get the technique down and get a little bit stronger, I feel like he could be our guy in the next few years. So so far I'm liking how we picked. We didn't pick for win now, because Urban knows it's not a win now. Trent Baalke knows it's not a win now, having been to a Super Bowl with the 49ers. You can't just go out and get a position of need ASAP. Like, sometimes his best player available. I don't know if this is what that was at 121. They did trade up for him, so they saw great value in him. That's a good sign that they believe in him. So I can't fault them for that. So I give the grade for him a B+. Now the next pick is my least favorite pick of this draft. Pick number 8, which was 145 in the 5th round. I still can't believe it. Luke Farrell, tight end out of Ohio State. And I don't even have to say it. He has ties with Urban Meyer. This guy went and played baseball. This guy is 29 years old. 29 years old. That's crazy to me that you're getting drafted at 29. You already have all the experience in the world. I mean, what do you need to go to the NFL for? You could retire right now and be a billionaire. Anyways, just kidding. Why this pick? Our tight ends suck, man. Once James O'Shaughnessy goes down, who do we got? We started the year with Josh Oliver. We traded him for a 5th or a 6th pick when we drafted him in 2019 or 18, I believe, in the 3rd round. We got nothing back for that guy. But in last season, I think it combined with 4 tight ends that played and recorded a stat, 68 catches, 637 yards, and 2 touchdowns on 106 targets in 2020. So that means there's 38 missed throws or drops. And tight ends are supposed to be your big threat, big play guys in the middle of the field that can just catch it no matter what. Not for us. So, I mean, James O'Shaughnessy got injured. Josh Oliver got traded. He has a strong relationship with Urban Meyer, from what I understand and what I've seen. So that's why we picked him. I don't feel like that's enough to go off of to pick a guy in the draft, let alone at a huge position of need. We wait till 145 to fix the biggest issue on our team, in my opinion. O-line is a need. Tight end is a need, but a capital N-E-E-D. Like, we have nobody. There is nobody. And the best thing you can do for a quarterback is have a tight end, not only to cover his ass on the outside for blocking, but someone in the middle of the field that can run those, 10-yard dig routes and bam, sit there and in the middle of the zone, hit him because he's tall and he has strong hands. Luke Farrell's not that guy. Now, what he brings to the table, though, like I said, he has experience. He's been there. But he's an exceptional blocker. I'll give him that. Run and pass. He's a great inline blocker. He plays pretty angry, when he's blocking. So he's not going to kill you, with his route running, with his hands, with his, run after the catch, if he does catch it type thing. But he's a big body in the red zone. I mean, 6'6", 250. He's a lot taller than Brevin Jordan, who people were begging for. I believe he ended up going undrafted anyways. But, yeah, so the one word I give him is tough. I'll admit it, he's tough when you watch his tape, but there's not much to watch. This grade, I give a C for this grade. I mean, only reason I give it better than a D is you assess the need. Congrats. But it's just not the type of firepower we were looking for. I mean, you draft Lawrence, Etienne, you're automatically thinking, we're going after a real, just a weapon at tight end. Nope. Exact opposite. So, disappointing. I give it a C. That's the most underwhelming pick of the draft. I'm interested to see how Urban implements him into the offense, if he does, as a pass catcher, but I just don't see it right now. I trust his judgment, but just because you have a relationship with him doesn't mean he's going to pan out at the next level, So, and finally, the last pick we had, Jalen Camp from Georgia Tech, wide receiver, at 209 in the draft, round 6. Now, why the pick? You think our wide receiving core is great. I agree. You got DJ Chark. We signed Marvin Jones in free agency, who is pretty much a stud. He has, I think, back-to-back years with 900-plus yards and, 9 or so touchdowns, which is greatly needed. And And we also lost Keelan Coleman free agency, though. He was our second leading receiver. He signed with the Jets. He had 58 catches, which actually led our team. Or I think it was second behind Laviska Shenault. 642 yards and 5 touchdowns. He took a step forward in 2020, and I was kind of disappointed that he left. But we also only ranked 28th in yards per reception at 10.2. Again, like I mentioned before, no big plays. It could be because of our quarterbacks not having that big arm, but it also could be because our receivers just aren't getting open and they're just not those kind of guys. DJ Chark, I know, is that guy. Laviska, probably not. He's more the catch and run. So, but you can never have enough weapons. So that's why I like this pick. And, Georgia Tech, you think of Calvin Johnson, you think of Demaryius Thomas, those guys that come out of there. And what this guy brings to the table, this guy's a freakish athlete. This picture doesn't do him justice. It's just one catch, he's reaching out for it. But he's 6'2", I believe 225, so he's built like Laviska, just a muscle, wide receiver. But this guy averaged 17.1 yards per catch in 20 games played at Georgia Tech. He didn't have a whole lot of, not a great sample size. You said 20 games, but he didn't have a whole lot of catches. I think he had 47 catches, in that time span. But those were only big plays. You wish he would show more. He would have showed more. Like, oh, why is he getting picked at this spot, But anyways, 1 second. Why is this doing that? Yeah, I don't know if Eifert's still on the team. I don't believe he is. I could have swore we didn't sign him again. Yeah, C- could have been a good grade too for that. Wasn't that good of a pick. Okay, anyways, Jalen Camp from Georgia Tech. He's big play threat, physical specimen. He 40-inch vertical in his pro day and 30 reps on bench. At a wide receiver, this guy is strong, and he's a mismatch downfield. He can go up and catch the ball. He's not going to kill you run after the catch. His route running is subpar, but he's a guy you can mold into, I don't want to compare him to DK Metcalf because he's not built like that, but it's that type of potential where you see just a pure athlete, and that's my word to describe him, as athlete. He's just an athlete. So in the 6th round, you see his tape, you see his size, and you can't teach size. And you can teach strength to an extent and speed and all that, but he already has it. So I give this grade an A- for that pick. I don't know why. It's a sneaky pick, and I like that. I wish we would have addressed wide receiver earlier. There was other guys, but it was a deeper wide receiver class, and wide receiver wasn't as big of a need because I feel like Etienne's going to fill in some of that wide receiver role, especially in the slot. So, anyways, that's all the individual grades for the Jags' 9 picks. Let me know what you think, man. Who was your favorite pick of the draft, besides Trevor Lawrence, of course, and probably Etienne, of those, lower level, lower round guys, 4th, 5th, 6th round? Who did you hear that you weren't familiar with, and now you're like, this guy could be good? For me, it's honestly got to be Cisco, but he's a 3rd rounder, but it's got to be Jalen Camp then. You watch that guy's tape, you watch how he plays, see how just physical he is. That guy could be a threat. You just don't know how many weapons Urban's going to have in their rotation, so it's good to have another one. Anyways, the safety for sure. Yeah, possession receiver. Yeah, that's exactly what he is. That's what they said. So I'm excited for him. Can't wait to see what role he has in the offense to help Trevor out and ease the transition to the big leagues. But the overall grade I give the Jaguars draft class, I was thinking about an A, thinking about an A-, but in all honesty, I give it a B+. It's hard to give a bad grade when your draft class includes Trevor Lawrence, but I feel like we passed on a lot of proven talent for a lot of potential talent. Like Cisco, he's proven, but he's hurt. Little, proven 2 years ago, but he's hurt. Like, you don't know what you're going to get yet. You haven't seen this guy play a snap in a while. And I wish we had more to go off of, like with Jay Tufele. I just wish there weren't people opting out that we were drafting, people that were, I don't want to say want more of the big name guys, but people that people know, that people are familiar with. But when you draft people you don't know, that's when, you're doing your research, because I didn't know Jordan Smith until then. Luke Farrell, I'm pretty sure that guy was supposed to go undrafted, man. I don't know why the hell we picked him. No one was going to pick that guy. Anyways, I give it a B+. I mean, like I said, we passed on a lot of proven talent early on at 33 and 25 and 45. We could have hit, D-line. We could have gone Christian Barmore at 25. In hindsight, of course, knowing that Morig fell, could have gone him at 33 and 45. We could have gone Pat Freiermuth, because he went 55 to the Steelers. Like, I was expecting that guy to go between 30 and 40. So when we didn't get any of those three guys that are mocked to go to us in pretty much anyone's draft because of our positions of need and just their draft stock, like their value, it was disappointing. So that's why I give it a B+. Not that I'm like holding a grudge on Urban, like, hey, you didn't get the guy I wanted, you didn't make my mock draft look good, but just because I felt like there was more value we could have had. But I trust Urban, I trust Balky. This is Urban's first ever NFL draft. I can't fault him for it. We hit on every need eventually, but the question is, did they get the best value, like I said, at each position? Like, you just don't know. Brevin Jordan went to the Texans. I saw him get drafted. Yeah, that was like probably, was that right before Farrell or after? I think it was, Farrell went 145. I think he went after Farrell, so it was kind of like, why do we pass on Jordan for Farrell? Yeah. Yeah, the Pats and the Steelers just stealing all the fucking tight ends, man. The Steelers have Eric Ebron. Why the hell do you need Pat Freiermuth? You need an O-line. I'm going to get into that in a second, though. I'm going to give you my big winners and losers, surprises and disappointments right after I get through this. But anyways, now we have competition at all positions, and I feel like that's imminent for us to grow as a team and rebuild, to really find the guy at each position, and just to build a rotation. I know Urban's not going to be like, oh, you're locked into the starting role. He's going to throw guys in there, and you better be ready. So I'm excited to see how he transitions really from his coaching style in college to the NFL. There's a lot of developing to be done, but I know Urban's up for it, and I'm excited to see where he goes with it. So now my big winners of the draft, man, and this is just the overall best draft class. Before I announce mine, I want to know yours. Which team do you think had the best draft? I ain't the Jags. I would have given them an A+ if it was the Jags. But which team do you think hit all their needs? Big name guys, big play guys, whatever it may be, just stacked. It doesn't have to be a big draft for them or a small draft, but like the first few picks, some people might say the Jets, because they, Zach Wilson, he has all the potential in the world. Sky's the limit for him. And then they go out and get Elijah Vera Tucker to protect him at guard, the best guard in the draft. They traded up for him, I believe. And then they go and get Elijah Moore in the second round at 34. That guy, he's a playmaker. So, I mean, you got three straight up, like, starters. Yeah, Nick read my mind, man. Dolphins 100%. You see who they drafted, man? Jalen Waddle. That's my big winner. I'm going to announce it right now since someone already said it. But Jalen Waddle, man, that guy for Alabama, that wide receiver, he's not even a wide receiver. He's the weapon. He's probably the biggest weapon in the draft. Jamar Chase is great. But Jalen Waddle, man, you get the ball in that guy's hands, he's making magic happen. He's making people miss. He could take it to the house at any. He's a breakaway player. He can break a game open at any moment. I love that pick at 6. Unfortunately, they were probably hoping for Kyle Pitts. But, of course, the Falcons aren't going to pass on that kind of guy. And then they go with Jalen Phillips at 18. So their first picks, Jalen Waddle, instant help for Tua, who's also a familiar face. They threw together in college. At Alabama, but then Jalen Phillips, probably arguably the best pass rushing D end in the draft, and 36, Javon Holland, one of the top 3 safeties, one of the better cover safeties as well, just very instinctive, and then Liam Eichenberg, a great tackle from Notre Dame, a big body guy. Got to protect your asset, with with Tua. And then Hunter Long, who was, I believe, he was really rated like the second highest tight end in the class, and they got him at 81. So that's crazy value because Freiermuth went 55, which I think the Steelers reached for based on how the draft was going, the flow of it. They reached for that guy. And then Hunter Long, who's a great overall tight end, especially a good blocking tight end. He'll probably take over Mike Gesicki's spot in Miami. And then Lana Coleman, another offensive lineman from Massachusetts to help him. Only question for the Dolphins, but doesn't really hurt my judgment of their class, is their running back position at 244, Jared Dokes from Cincinnati. Now, granted, this draft class could have been a lot better just off one pick, and that's at 36. So the Broncos traded up. They snuck up in the second round at 35, and this is what made the draft so exciting. All the trades, especially in the first round, but even in the second round, they snuck him and got Javonte Williams. They literally stole Javonte Williams. Well, that's the grade. They stole Javonte Williams from the Dolphins. Oh, man, if they would have got him too, that would have been, their offense would have been off the charts. They were 10-6 last year, and this draft is definitely going to put them over that hump to, I don't know if they're going to compete for the division title against the Bills, but they're definitely going to fight for that wild card spot, which they were last year. They just missed it by, I think they tied with the Colts, and they lost the tiebreaker. But yeah, so Dolphins are the big winner for me. Abso-freaking-lutely. Now the big losers, man. Big losers. And this is not me being, that guy, but it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh Steelers are the biggest losers of this draft, man. I mean, you look at who they lost, who retired, and who they're going to need to replace soon. Najee Harris, probably the best running back in the class. You get him at 24. Again, what I mentioned, running backs in the first round is always questionable. Then Pat Freiermuth, 31 picks later at tight end. You don't need a tight end. I don't know why they drafted him. I was salty because they did, because I wanted him. But you have Eric Ebron. You have bigger needs to fill. You didn't get offensive tackle till pick 128. And that's, I mean, you got a center, Kendrick Green from Illinois at 87, but you need O-line. They needed O-line help quick, and at 55, there was great value left at that. So Big Ben's on his last leg, and he's about to break his last leg with how poor this, offense might manage. But Najee Harris opens up a lot for their offense. It's good for them, but I feel like they missed on a lot, The tight end pick was not what they needed. It wasn't even a best player available right there, because he wasn't the best player available at that point. They just took him just to take him. I feel like it was just here, we'll just get that guy. And I don't know. So they missed on that, and they didn't draft a quarterback. They didn't draft a quarterback. This is why they're the big losers. They missed out on Davis Mills. They missed out on Kyle Trask. They missed out on the heir apparent to Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, who's going to be the guy? I don't know why I keep forgetting the slides. I'm fumbling the bag here. People saying Josh Dobbs, no. Dwayne Haskins, come on. I mean, this is not like the Steelers organization to just fumble the bag like that. I was the fact they didn't draft one was kind of crazy, to me at least. Now the big surprises of the draft, and I have two for surprises and disappointments, but the biggest surprise was the Bears, man. Why? Justin Fields. The fact that this guy snuck past the Broncos, snuck past the Panthers, granted they have Sam Darnold, but he got to the 11th pick in the draft. And the Bears, they pulled the trigger, man. I'm proud of them. Biggest surprise, they've gone decades without having a franchise quarterback. That city is dying for one. Nick Foles ain't the savior. Trubisky was not the savior. They're dying for one. So good for them. They finally have their guy. He's starting week 1. If he's not, then everyone in Chicago is going to, burn the place down until he does. But good for them. Big surprise there. And the other big surprise, a little honorable mention, was the Packers drafting a wide receiver, man. When has that happened in the first 3 rounds? Amari Rodgers from Clemson at 85. If you remember, I had him mocked to us. Well, I had Anthony Schwartz, but he was an honorable mention of names to listen for because he's a familiar guy with Trevor Lawrence. He was probably his favorite target in terms of wide receivers there at Clemson. So that was surprising to me. Now, the biggest disappointments, it's got to be the Broncos. Like I said, them passing on a quarterback, them not going after someone. They got Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock. I don't know if Drew Lock's going to take that step forward in his third year now. I don't feel like he's the guy there. And it sucks because their offense has so much potential. You got Noah Fant, who's no slouch at tight end. He has the potential to be a top 4 or 5 tight end in the league if he gets his targets. Cortland Sutton, who has proven himself as a wide receiver 1. Tim Patrick, who came onto the scene when Sutton was hurt last year. And then you just drafted Javonte Williams. Like I said, they stole it from Miami. And that guy's a beast. So they have all the pieces in place. They just don't have the guy in the driver's seat. So I don't know if with the news of Aaron Rodgers coming out that they're going to go after him and target him. But the fact they didn't draft Justin Fields, they could have easily taken Justin Fields there, but instead they took Patrick Surtain, arguably the best corner in the draft, if not the second best, behind J.C. Horn. But it just raises the question, like, what are they doing? That's the reason the surprise happened, that Fields fell. So courtesy to them. But yeah, so that was my draft grade. So the Jaguars get a B+. The big winners are the Miami Dolphins of the draft. Big losers are the Steelers. No animosity towards them and their fans. Big surprises, Justin Fields falling, Packers drafting a wide receiver. Big disappointments. I'll throw the Jaguars tight end in there. That's a huge disappointment for me personally. And then the Broncos not drafting a QB. Huge disappointments there. And just honestly surprises too. Like, why didn't you? So it's just crazy. It was an exciting draft. So many things going on, especially in the first night of round 1, and then round 2 as well. It was an exciting draft to watch. But now that it's come to a close, we look forward to the schedule release, May 12th, 8 p.m. Eastern. May 12th, 8 p.m. Eastern. Schedule will be released. We already know the opponents, home and away. Stay tuned. It'll be May 13th or 14th, depending on what day I'm feeling. I'm going to break down every last game with every opponent, with who they drafted, who they sought out in free agency, who they lost to free agency over the offseason, and what accurate win-loss record the Jaguars will end up with. Me being an optimistic guy, who knows what I'll say. I might say 17-0 because Trevor Lawrence doesn't know how to lose, and neither does Urban Meyer. So I appreciate y'all tuning in for the very second episode of Down to the Wire Debates. I'm going to have a lot more coming. The stream's going to get a little bit more advanced here. Hopefully get better lighting, get more sound effects, stuff like that. I'm just now starting out, so stay tuned. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, do that. Hit the bell for notifications. Follow me on all platforms at DTW Debates on Instagram, Facebook, and of course YouTube, where you're watching this right now. Appreciate y'all tuning in, and I'll catch y'all next time.